folks beyond the audience today. Before we get too far along, I do want to introduce Patrick Visser, as Lisa has already. He works with us as part of the Smart Zone. Patrick, if you want to say a few words.
Well, hi, Nate. Thank you. And just pleased to be here today and appreciate the opportunity to be part of this presentation. So we'll be talking about one of our client needs later on in the presentation.
Excellent. Well, it's no secret that Michigan Tech is home to a world-class university. There are many brilliant faculty members here that are literally experts in their field, creating innovations and new novelties that never before have been created. And if you combine that with the excellent opportunities afforded to us through the state of Michigan, the federal government, and through the Smart Zone, it's a recipe for excellence here. Specifically, the state of Michigan, through the Michigan Strategic Fund, as well as the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, provides all sorts of programming and funding available to faculty looking to start the commercialization journey. For example, the advanced and MTrack programs, they help fund they are often the first step in the commercialization path for faculty members and provide critical gap funding when researchers are beginning to take their technologies out of the laboratory and into the business setting. These are often complemented with T3N funding, also offered through the MEDC, that provides financial support for postdocs and for mentors to continue critical experimentation and customer discovery for the technologies that are developed through Advance and MTrack. The Emerging Technology Fund and Business Acceleration Fund are both MEDC programs offered to startup companies to help them fund critical activities very early on in their formation, whether that be better understanding the markets they play in, whether that's better understanding how they can connect to their customers, and an assortment of other needs that a company may have. These pair very well with federal programs such as the NSF I-Corps program and Partnership for Innovation program. The NSF I-Corps program is a customer discovery boot camp that teaches budding entrepreneurs how to best engage, reach, and provide product to their customers, as well as understand their customer needs intimately. The Partnership for Innovation program helps tailor some of the technologies developed in research labs to get to the point where they can provide that value that customers need that they've discovered through I-Corps. In the Small Business Innovation Research Grant and the Small Technology Transfer Research Grants are both grants provided directly to startup companies to continue that important work. These are very often pre-revenue and especially pre-profit for a company, and help fund the startup companies at a critical time when they're maybe deploying their first version of a product or a service. And of course, the Smart Zone helps out a great deal as well. Beyond just the critical guidance that they offer to faculty members and to others looking to create their own startups, they also provide all sorts of infrastructure, everything from laboratory space, office space, and beyond physical infrastructure to also include programming of their own to help teach customer discovery principles and other business development skills, as well as the people they can connect you with, everyone from subject matter experts to mentors, to angels, to the lawyers that can help you actually file your LLC or C Corp. They are the one-stop shop to help you figure out how to best create your startup company. Now, these programs, these grants, these funding opportunities that we have, they are excellent, and leveraging them properly is a great way to start your company, but it's just the first step. To grow beyond these programs, you need to grow your team. And it becomes essential that you complement the skill sets that you have already developed internally to your team. It becomes necessary to have full-time staff for product and market development. And it's very often necessary to have a management team with very flexible time commitments. One week you may be working 80 hours a week, the next it may be 10 hours a week. And being able to scale up as the company grows is a critical need for many of these budding startups. This is a massive elephant-sized task. And it's not to say that it's a task that can't be done, but it does need to be broken up into bite-sized chunks. And so the three pillars that we look at most closely when we're first starting up a company is the team, the technology, and the funding that enables the team to develop the technology. So the technology beyond just your first iteration of what you may be offering, beyond your prototype, you also need to understand how your product is manufactured. You need to be able to perform a techno-economic feasibility assessment and understand if the product and service you're offering can be delivered and produced at a price your customer is willing and able to pay for. Beyond the technology itself, of course, you need the team. There's the founders that help create the company. There's directors that help guide the company to their first customer, to their growth customer. There's a management team that helps handle the day-to-day activities. Technical experts are needed. Regulatory experts are needed. Business development folks are needed. And it takes a huge pool of skills to be able to move the opportunity forward. And of course, there's the funding that goes along with these needs to help support the growth. Everything from creating or from writing your first grants, your first business grant, to managing an active grant, developing a pro forma to understand how your company may be able to secure revenue, and creating a pitch deck to be able to pitch your idea to a VC, to angel investors, be able to secure the funding to keep doing these activities. And of course, there's a lot of specializations here, a lot of tasks that need to be done here. And it's impossible for one person or for a small team to be able to do this themselves. And so this is where we need to grow our team, where we need to bring in new folks. And that is what we have for you today. The first opportunity I'd like to discuss comes from Professor Marina Tanisova. Through previous funding through federal sources, as well as advance and T3N program, she has developed specific probes that are able to better assess what's going on at the cellular level for cancer tumors. They target very specific metabolic pathways, and it's not that this hasn't done before, but it's that she can do it better. In that image you see to the right of your screen, you'll notice that there are blue dots, and if you can faintly see, there's some green dots in the right column as well. These are showing where those specific pathways are in the cancer cell. And as you can see, it's very, very difficult to see those green dots, right? The blue is much easier to see. And it enables you to view cancer, to study it in a way that was previously not able to be done. And so the potential applications for this are not only tools and probes to better understand cancer development and propagation, it might be able to be used as a co-therapeutic. It could be that these probes can clog those pathways, starve the cancer cells, and make them more sensitive to traditional treatment methods. However, before we can even begin to develop a product like that, we need to do animal studies first. And so that's our first ask, is folks that are familiar with animal studies and perhaps other industry partners that are able to perform those. If there are folks in the audience with those skill sets, those expertise, this is an opportunity that may interest you. Some possible end users for this technology could be cancer researchers, as well as clinicians and physicians looking to treat their patients with cancer. The next opportunity I'd like to discuss comes from Professor Smitha Rao and her group. And through previous NIH funding, they have developed some technology, some fibers that are able to better mimic the body's natural environment. Why is that important? Well, for studying cancer cells, when you grow them in a petri dish, they grow and behave very, very differently than they actually do in the human body. And so her fibers can better mimic what is going on in the human body so that we can have a more accurate representation of what cancer is doing in the body. And again, better study it, better understand it, better able to develop treatments for those specific cancer types. The image that you see in the middle column there is showing how different arrangement, different stiffnesses, different physical properties of these fibers are able to help grow specific types of cancers. And it's not just one type of cancer she's looking at, but a whole host of cancers that are difficult to mimic in a laboratory setting. We are seeking professional collaboration as Smitha and her team look to apply to a GOALI grant, a commercialization focused federal grant. It's not only possible that these fibers can help us grow tumors in a more natural environment for cancer researchers, but it could be that these fibers are also implanted in the body after a tumor is removed so that you are able to capture and trap some of the metastasizing cells floating throughout the body so that they don't grow elsewhere. Of course, similar to Marina's technology, there's a long pathway to get to that application. FDA regulatory approvals, clinical trials, all sorts of funding that goes into further development. And we are seeking grants to help us fund those, but we of course need experts to help guide us through these paths as well. The third opportunity I'd like to go over today is a company called Granularity that was started by Russ Stein and Jerry Anzalone here at Michigan Tech. Through some MTRAC funding, they were able to develop a technology, a 3D metal printing technology, capable of printing any overhangs and any internal structures in their prints by leveraging WAM technology and their own novel developments. The next grants that they are going to be applying for is a Small Business Innovation Research Grant, an SBIR. And for the activities that they are proposing under that grant, they need experts in primary component analysis, business development, and machine builders to work with them so that they can better understand their own customers, as well as better understand what is actually happening with the products that they are producing, that they are printing. So some potential applications of this technology include all sorts of manufacturing. The flexibility of your design with this manufacturing process is unparalleled by any other current technology. And it's really critical in fields such as die-in tool making and aerospace. In die-in tool, the holy grail, what is sought after by many die-in cast manufacturers, is what's mold that is capable of what's known as conformal cooling. Conformal cooling is when the casting cools at a uniform rate to give you the properties you expect, to give you the least amount of rejects possible, and to have a good quality part. It's very difficult to do that with current manufacturing methods, as we can only drill in a straight line. Well, there's no need to drill for this. They can just print whatever design you could possibly imagine. And that enables them to have cooling rates much more uniform than anything that's out on the market right now. Additionally, they believe that this can also fit into the aerospace industry, because the aerospace industry is notorious for designing very complicated components using very expensive materials and chipping away 50% or more of a solid block to get to the final component that they need. And so if they can, their idea is if they can print very close to the final design of a product and then just do a few cleaning passes on a machine to clean it up, make it look nice, give it the right surface finish, you can dramatically reduce the amount of expensive material you're wasting. And this is very critical when you're using super alloys. It's intended that the end users of the system that they are developing could be machinists and CNC operators, and perhaps R&D engineers for production shops as well. Another opportunity is a company called Nion. This is founded by Professor Lei Pan and supported through the MTRAC program as well. The next business grant that they're going to be seeking is a Small Business Innovation Research Grant through the DOE specifically. And for that, they need experts in manufacturing, plant design, battery recycling, and materials processing to join their team to be able to conduct the important work that they're planning for. The technology is capable of recycling and recovering valuable metals from various waste streams. And right now it's at a lab bench scale, a few grams an hour. And what we're looking to do under the Small Business Innovation Research Grant is scale that up to something that's more realistic, more feasible for actual industrial use. The envisioned application is that the waste stream will ideally be recycled batteries with the future of electrification being what it is. There are much more hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles on the road that at some point will have an end of life and have to have those batteries taken care of. This technology can hopefully meet that demand. The envisioned use is that Nion employees will use the process developed by this company in order to take the waste material, convert it to a precursor battery material, deliver that to a traditional battery manufacturer who can then process it further into traditional battery materials. Again, this team needs help finding manufacturing plant design experts, battery recycling experts, and materials processing in order to help move forward. The final business that I'd like to discuss today before I hand it off to Patrick is supirec. This is founded by Professor David Schauner in our chemical engineering department, and he has developed a technology capable of recycling difficult to recycle polymers, such as LDPE films, into drop-in replacement feedstock for polymer resin manufacturing. This technology was funded through MTRAC as well as I-Corps, and we are seeking to apply, or we have applied to a small business technology transfer research grant, an STTR. For that grant, we will very likely need a full-time engineer to join us in 2023 in order to conduct those critical experiments that we have included in that proposal. All of our teams and businesses today have been supported by the Michigan Tech Office of Innovation and Commercialization, as well as the MTech Smart Zone. Some potential applications for David's technology and supirec's technology is not only helping create the precursor materials for polymer resins, thereby enabling a circular economy, making plastics out of plastics, but it could also possibly be used for creating drop-in fuel replacements for diesel and gasoline engines, as well as cooking gases in desperate and dire situations. It also can possibly be used as a food source for microorganisms, little fungi, little bacteria, that can then be processed into a protein supplement. This protein supplement could be used for livestock supplement, food supplement, and possibly for human use in desperate situations as well. The envisioned end use of this technology is that hopefully these units can be deployed to material recovering facilities where they can process the material themselves before providing it to whoever their customers may be, very likely a petrochemical facility, or by supirec employees that will then in turn supply the same material to petrochemical facilities such as Dow. The last opportunity we have this evening is Waldo, and I'll hand it over to Patrick to talk about Waldo.
Well, thank you, Nate. Much appreciated. And again, my name is Patrick Visser. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer here at MTech Smart Zone, and we are located in Houghton, Hancock. We work collaboratively with Nate and his group at Michigan Tech, and with a number of the researchers that you just saw. And so we are, MTech Smart Zone is one of 20 state of Michigan smart zones. And we are funded through tax dollars from the state of Michigan, as well as a grant from Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And so we help commercialize spin-outs from Michigan Tech University, as well as technology startups emanating from the community here. So we're very fortunate to have Michigan Tech here and a lot of the great research that you just saw. But today I'm just going to talk about one of our clients that came to us from the local community. And the photo there you see is a gentleman named Leo Huta. And Leo came in after running a logging company here in the area for many years. And he had an idea based on what he experienced in his life and with his business. And what he had seen out in the field was that the entire supply chain of the logging industry was still very paper-based, very manual-based in terms of how they administered paperwork, invoices, how they paid for services, how they tracked loads, all of these different types of things. And so he went and found a local IT company and traded some equity in his company to have them build the software to automate a lot of these processes. So when Leo had the beta technology developed, he came to the Smart Zone and asked me how we could help. And so we have been doing a number of things, including introducing him to the CEO of a very large land management, timber management company, which resulted in a pilot program that we currently have going with that customer. But one of the other areas that we needed to help Leo with was funding. And that is often a gap for early stage companies, is how do they finance themselves at the very beginning. And so two key areas for us were, one, an angel investor that we connected Waldo with, who invested a significant six-figure amount in the company. But secondarily, we were also successful in securing some funding through a Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, funding program called the BAF, or Business Accelerator Fund. And we leveraged that funding for some needed legal services and marketing services, which were critical to getting Waldo off the ground and really moving here. And so one of the areas that we are trying to help now is how do we build out the team from a management level to some key initial hires, alongside putting together sort of an advisory board. And so when Nate approached me with the idea of this reverse pitch, whereby we would present these researchers and companies who are trying to commercialize or commercializing, and try to connect them with alumni or others who might be able to help, I just thought that this would be a fantastic opportunity to introduce Waldo, because they really do need team members across the board. And sometimes it's a struggle for early stage companies to find those key individuals. So actually Leo, the founder, very much enjoys sort of a senior VP level of sales more than he does kind of running the company. And he also has his logging business. So we are actually looking for a CEO or COO type individual. But we'd also be open to anybody else who might have interest, or even be in a position to provide some kind of mentoring or advisory services. So appreciate the opportunity to present today and talk a little bit about MTech Smart Zone and our client Waldo. Thank you.
All right. So with that, should we open it up for questions? Do we have any questions for Nate or Patrick about
Absolutely.
the teams?
And keep in mind, we are not technical experts. We will do our best to answer technical questions, but we would be more than happy to connect you with the proper researchers if you do have technical questions.
All right. Guys, you guys covered it so thoroughly that there aren't any questions. All right. If you have a question, you don't want to unmute yourself, you can add a question to chat. That's always an option.
If you have questions you would like to not have in front of everyone here today, Patrick and I have also included our emails into the chat here as well. Please feel free to reach out to us personally.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting presentation, and I like the way that you kind of flipped the whole idea of a pitch event on its head by asking for talent and other resources that these startups need to launch. And I think it's important to keep, as a community, to keep looking for these opportunities. So I think that's great. This was a very interesting presentation. And we are recording, so we can share it with others who couldn't make it today.
Great.
Excellent.
All right, well, with that, unless I don't have any other questions, I just want to say again, thank you to Nate and Patrick for taking the time to give us this great presentation on these different teams and the resources that they need. And also wanted to just say that if anyone is interested in attending other Innovation Week events, I put the link to our calendar in chat, so you can take a look at that and register. We've got the Bob Mark Business Model Pitch Competition tomorrow, which is it's going to be a hybrid event. We're going to be meeting in person. We do have a couple teams, or at least one team for sure, presenting virtually, but you are invited to join us. We will have a pre-event mixer at 4 o'clock. Feel free to join us. That's in the Mub Ballroom A. And that's it for today. All right. Enjoy your afternoon.
Take care, everyone.